Welcome to the Ask Lee slot. Alright, so as per usual, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will add them to one of these videos. So I've only got one this week, and I actually did answer this question in the comments, but I thought it was a very interesting question and one that a lot of people might benefit from. So it's from Zamage. I've been meaning to, it's quite a long question, so bear with me. I've been meaning to ask this one for a while now. How do you go about disposing of, for want of a better word, the things which you've offered to a demon? For example, that left shoe that you mentioned in a past video, I don't think it should be burnt or thrown in the river, and burying it poses its own questions, as a lot of that material doesn't really decompose that well. I've currently got a small dish of fertile soil, a koyin, and some cannabis for Vasigo on my altar. Strange request for a water spirit, but I don't judge. It would be easiest to just bury these things in my garden, but considering Vasigo is of a watery nature, would it be better received by him to put them in a body of water? I tend to overthink these things, so a second opinion would be much appreciated. All right. So, when it comes to disposing of offerings, there are a variety of different ways we can do it. In some cases, you may want to leave the offerings at a crossroads. But, you know, disposing in a natural element like flowing water in a river, or in soil in your garden, or burning it and releasing it into the air, burning it in a fire so that it goes up in flames and smoke can go. You know, there's lots and lots of different ways. Now, this specific question was about offerings that were given to a water or spirit of the water element. And what we have to remember is that all of the elements are present in everything. So if we dig in the soil, we have water in the soil. We have air molecules in the soil, and you know, we have heat. So the earth generates heat, creates heat, which is why we can cook things. If it was completely and utterly dry, it would be barren and nothing would grow there. So fertile soil has got moisture, it's got water in it, and it's got air molecules in it, because it's not completely and utterly compact, but it's a vacuum. And what we got there? So we've got heat, which is fire, we've got water, and we've got earth, which is the soil itself. So, you know, the soil in your garden has all of the elements. A plant, cannabis, has all of the elements. So when it comes to things like disposing of the offerings, I don't think, unless it's a specific instruction that comes from the spirit itself, which is usually the best option. But if you don't get a specific instruction, then burying it, burning it, it depends on the item itself. So there's actually some traditions that will offer koyin to the fairies. So you can actually take the koyin, in this example, you can take the koyin, you can go bury it and offer it to the fae. In this case, you would be offering it to the spirit you're working with, but just burying it in the garden, and you can add some honey or some water or something to that. You just dig a little hole, put the offerings in, cover it over. So, you know, cannabis can obviously be burnt, so that can go up in smoke. You may, if it's paper, if you've done a petition or something like that, then you can burn that, which will create ash. That ash you can blow into the air. You might want to go onto a higher location, like a mountain, or if you have a tall building and you can open the window or go onto a balcony or something, you can let the ashes go up there, which is quite nice, because then you're high up, you know, closer to the heavens, and you can let the air take it. There are any number of ways. If it's something you can put in a river, it's a great option, because then you can let it flow. And you know, when you put adding it to or giving it to a flowing body of water, you also can then take into consideration the direction of the flow. You know, this is getting more into spell working itself rather than offerings, but if it's something that you want to bring to you, then you can choose a body of water that is flowing towards your house. If it's something you want to take away from you, then once that body of water has passed your house, then put it in that part of the river and it will flow away from you. You know, some traditions will have specific directions the river must flow in order to increase or decrease. So, you know, you can take all of those things into consideration. So there's a lot of things we can have a look at, but try not to limit your thinking. I do it all the time, and I think a lot of us do. You know, we are working with a particular spirit which is associated with a particular element, and we may not consider that if we do something a particular way, that element is represented there, because it's not like if it was a fire element. You know, it's not an actual candle, flame, something that's burning, but heat itself is fire, passion is fire, sexuality is fire, that passion that comes from it. So, I mean, sex magic itself is could be an act of the fiery element. If it's a watery element, then emotions are watery. You know, we can use our own spit, we can use our own tears, we can use our own urine. We have a lot of bodily fluids that are watery, but at the same time can also be considered to be fiery. Blood is often thought of as fiery, but it's obviously fluid and therefore it's watery. So, you know, you can think a bit out of the box, and you know, come up with a variety of different ways to view these things and use these things, and you know, can't really go wrong. But as I said, you know, the best way to actually know how to dispose of an offering for a particular spirit is to actually ask the spirit itself what their preference is. If they have no preference, you decide, but if they do have a preference, then rather, you know, do it the way the spirit would prefer it, and it helps the spirit and helps you. Alright, so that's it for this week. Only one question, and again, if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. I could really do with them, otherwise we're not going to have much of an Ask Lee Wednesday slot. Alright, so it would be much appreciated. Okay, so I will see you soon. Have a good one. Bye bye for now.